opening fire in an Illinois warehouse, killing 5 employees, then injuring several first responders.
Because it was da-da-da-da-da.
Oh.
So, yeah. And it was like in space, and then came another shot.
The community now trying to make sense of a senseless act. Tonight, the search for answers intensifies and the demand for change.
CBS 12 News starts now.
And as we come on the air tonight, we're getting our first look at the faces of 4 of the 5 killed in that horrific workplace shooting in Aurora, Illinois. Clayton Parks, a human resource manager. Trevor Werner, intern and student at Northern Illinois University. Vicente Juarez, a forklift operator, and Josh Pinkard, the plant manager. The 5th victim not pictured, Russell Byer, a mold operator, all employees at the Henry Pratt warehouse. One of the 5 dead, 21-year-old Trevor Weiner, expected to graduate this coming May. And tonight, the community coming together to grieve as several memorials now planned over the next few days. 5 police officers and another employee tonight recovering after encountering the suspect, who we are not naming out of respect for the injured and the deceased. Also tonight, we're learning more about the moments that led up to the suspect opening fire. Authorities say he was in the process of being fired. Now we take a look at the timeline. The first shots rang out at 1:24 in the afternoon yesterday. Then, just 4 minutes later, officers responding. But it took more than an hour for those officers to find the suspect in that 29,000 square foot building. From there, though, a firefight to the end. The suspect shot dead after opening fire on the officers. The CEO of Muller Water Products, the parent company of Henry Pratt, spoke to the media today. Take a listen.
Friday was basically the worst day our company has ever had. In the days and weeks ahead, we will be reviewing every aspect of this tragedy and the steps we need to ensure this horrible incident is never repeated.
More than 200 officers from up to 35 agencies responded to that deadly scene on Friday. We're also learning tonight more about the gunman. The Aurora police chief says the suspect was in illegal possession of a .40 caliber Smith & Wesson handgun equipped with a laser. Investigators say he first brought the weapon legally with a firearms owner's identification card. But when he applied for a concealed carry permit, just days later, a fingerprint screening turned up an aggravated assault conviction that dated back to 1995. Now, a neighbor we spoke to just couldn't understand any of it.
I said, I found out it's the guy right next door to me, who's probably been the only person I've chatted with since I've lived here.
Wow.
So I'm sad and shocked, and you just never know.
You certainly don't. The suspect had an extensive criminal history, including 6 prior arrests by the Aurora Police Department. Officials say the gunman was employed at Henry Pratt Manufacturing for 15 years. And of course, for the very latest on this developing story, please download our CBS 12 News app. All you have to do is search WPEC in your app store. New at 11 tonight, local boaters coming to the aid of fellow anglers. Their boat capsized. All of this happening in the waters off of Palm Beach County. CBS 12's Chuck Weber live in Port St. Lucie with the emotional twist, Chuck, to this amazing rescue.
Yeah, you're right, Paul. This is emotional because the boat captain's infant daughter recently passed away, and the boat, just renamed for the little girl, was part of today's rescue.
Our crew members saw a gentleman standing on top of a capsized boat waving his hands.
Taylor DeFusco, the mate who was part of today's rescue. He says his fishing charter left out of Stewart, heading for the waters of Palm Beach County. DeFusco says about 3 miles off MacArthur Beach State Park, his party encountered the vessel that for some reason had taken on water and was upside down. 3 men needed help. DeFusco says fortunately calm conditions prevailed and his crew quickly got to the 3 men, got them on board their vessel safe and sound. DeFusco says it was emotional for his boat captain, Jonathan Cranker, who recently lost his newborn daughter.
He just changed the boat's name from the Colossal Catch 2 to the Madison Marie after his daughter, and we ran one of our first charters off of the new name on the boat today and ended up helping 3 people, possibly with their lives today. So it was a pretty emotional day for him.
Yeah, very emotional indeed. And DeFusco points out that the capsized boat had a chum bag attached, so potentially dangerous situation there. Ultimately, the Coast Guard and a towing company got the rescued men to where they needed to be. DeFusco says this is a reminder when you go out on the water, you got to have safety equipment and you got to have a plan. Live in Port St. Lucie, Chuck Weber, CBS 12 News.
Good advice, Chuck. Thank you. And to see this video again, and if you'd like to share it, we have posted it on our CBS 12 Facebook page. Developing right now, Heather Nauert has withdrawn her from consideration as UN ambassador. The State Department spokeswoman making that announcement on Saturday. Now, President Trump chose Nauert as the U.S. ambassador to the UN, but the formal nomination had not been sent to the Senate. In a statement, Nauert said she was grateful to be considered for the position, but that it would be in the best interest of her family to withdraw. The State Department says President Trump will make another nomination sometime soon. Well, a whirlwind 24 hours for President Trump. This after signing the emergency declaration to get funding for the border wall with Mexico and a funding bill that averted another government shutdown. The president and the first lady flew into West Palm Beach last night for the holiday weekend at Mar-a-Lago. On this visit, though, for the president, not just golf. It was down to business with advisors focusing on trade with China.
As the sun set Saturday night, Marine units guarded the waters around Mar-a-Lago. Inside, President Trump meeting with his trade team, getting an update on talks with China. Saturday night, Trump tweeting, trade negotiators have just returned from China, where the meetings on trade were very productive. Now at meetings with me at Mar-a-Lago, giving the details. In the meantime, billions of dollars are being paid to the United States by China in the form of trade tariffs, end quote. Earlier in the day, Press Secretary Sarah Sanders announced Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross and Management and Budget Director Mick Mulvaney were among administration officials meeting with the president in person, while Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, who was in China, and other advisors were joining by phone. The administration had earlier characterized the trade talks in China as productive. There's another round of meetings this coming week in Washington, everyone working to reach a deal by President Trump's March 1st deadline. The president speaking about the China trade talks at the White House on Friday, saying he believed the deal would also address drugs coming from China. Also Friday, the president primarily addressed declaring a national emergency at the southern border. On Saturday night, he tweeted simply in all caps, building the wall. Then Saturday morning, a national business writer tweeting a photo of the president at his Trump International Golf Club just outside West Palm Beach.
Now, no public events are scheduled for the president until Monday, and that is when he's expected to speak about the leadership crisis in Venezuela at Florida International University. Meantime, today, though, a U.S. military transport plane delivered humanitarian aid to the Colombian border. The plane taking off from Homestead, Florida earlier today. The food and medicine stored at that location amidst uncertainty over how and where it will be distributed. Now, this is the second arrival of large-scale U.S. and international aid since opposition leader Juan Guaido declared himself interim president, defying socialist president Nicolas Maduro.
Beautiful start to the President's Day weekend here across South Florida, but all those temperatures so warm. Look at this, 82 the high temperature today at the airport, 5 degrees above the normal of 77. And right now, not a bad Saturday night, 71 degrees at southwest wind, bringing that warm temperature and the high humidity at 78%. So by tomorrow morning, your town lows look like this. Mid-60s Lake Worth down to Boca, 61 Wellington, Belglade getting down to about 60 degrees tomorrow morning. In the North County area, some low 60s, Jupiter down to West Palm. Could be some 50s, though, like in Jupiter Farms, 61 there for Loxahatchee. And hello, Treasure Coast, lots of 50s for you by early tomorrow morning around sunrise at 7 o'clock. Thing is, though, patchy dense fog will be creeping in from the inland areas, probably staying west of 441 in Palm Beach County, like in Wellington and the South Bay or in Indiantown. Look for visibilities, though, 2 to 3 miles for those of you up there along the Treasure Coast. And that fog will burn off, looks like, by about mid-morning. Water vapor loop shows a high pressure ridge now located over the Yucatan Peninsula. This is an upper level high. It's blocking cold fronts from coming our way and keeping it warm. How long that will last and your President's Day forecast coming your way in just a few minutes. Paul?
Lots to talk about, Michael. Thank you so much. Well, it is being called a once-in-a-decade opportunity. Treasure Coast residents having their voices heard when it comes to the Army Corps of Engineers and how they manage Lake Okeechobee. Earlier today, Congressman Brian Mast hosted a community briefing to get residents ready to speak their minds. This as the Corps rewrites the rules it uses to manage Lake O for discharging water and how frequently they'll be doing it.
The federal
government and other powers that be manage Lake Okeechobee, they don't take into considerations the communities to the east and west that have to take all of those discharges.
The Corps is already rewriting regulations and will be taking public comments until the end of March. The Delray Beach Open in full swing this weekend. Take a look at this. It's the second year Love Serving Autism was invited to have a tennis clinic for adults and kids living on the spectrum. Love Serving Autism founder Lisa Polisi says events like the Delray Open are great for those with autism spectrum disorder. Take a listen.
I think it's really exciting for the children. A few of them have told me that, you know, they get to watch professional tennis and they get to make new friends and they get to play a sport that they really enjoy playing during the week. And just being out into the community and getting to walk around the tournament, and there's a food court and music, it's just really exciting for them.
Now, she went on to say this type of event helps with much needed social skills for those living on the spectrum. The Palm Beach Outlet celebrating a milestone, their 5th anniversary this past Valentine's Day. Can you believe it? 5 years? Wow. As part of the celebration, the outlet holding an unlimited food, wine, and craft beer holiday tastings event. The celebration continues tomorrow with a Kids' Day celebration, and that includes a dance party, character appearances, face painting, and a whole lot more. And the best part of it is it's free to enjoy everything. Up next on CBS 12 News at 11 tonight, new details in the mystery surrounding the beating of a popular actor, that star who says he was brutally beaten and verbally attacked. And we'll move on to our next story, a scare even before they got in the air. What caused passengers running for their lives at one of our airports, one of our state's busiest airports? Hey, Michael.
Yeah, Paul, unseasonably warm temperatures all across South Florida tonight, and with high pressure off to the east and south. South winds will continue to keep it warm here in South Florida. How long that will last and how high the temperatures will go near you when I come back with a 7-day forecast.